and purpose who work for or on behalf of the DFC shall understand and adhere to that purpose. I'm going to start with some thoughts on February. When I think about February, I think about Valentine's Day and Groundhog's Day, all that bunch of fun we have in the first half. So I'm going to start out something with Eric Fromm, who says, love isn't something natural. Rather, it requires discipline, concentration, patience, faith, and the overcoming of narcissism. It isn't a feeling, it is a practice. And Martin Luther King Jr., darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Linda Ellerby says, in the coldest February, as in every other month in every other year, the best thing to hold on to in this world is each other. And Terry Guillemay says, February is the border between winter and spring, because you can kind of feel spring a little bit. I heard frogs croaking in my backyard yesterday. They must know something. Mae Jameson says, never be limited by other people's limited imaginations. And the last one from Mahatma Gandhi says, you may never know what results come of your actions. And there's a lot of actions happening here today. But if you do nothing, there will be results. All right, let's continue on. All right, we'll have a treasurer's report from Sherry Pryor.
It's nice to see everybody here. Welcome students and faculty and all our presenters from the county. It's great to see you here this morning. Not too many changes with the account at this point in time. Sorry.
Oh, next.
Great. Our major change from December was we got a wonderful contribution from Al and Lori McGreehan in Chico. So that changed our total deposits for our entire fund. And these haven't changed. Slide?
Yeah, 1 second, please.
Sure.
Thank you. We're dealing with. Yeah. There we go. It just might.
And these numbers and expenditures have not changed. Some of the projects that we funded and invoices that we pay. And these are the only thing that changed among these expenditures was when we get a deposit, then North Valley Community Foundation charges us 2% to handle and process those funds. So that's the $30. So our total expenditures has not changed since we haven't spent anything.
Except for the cadence.
We haven't paid it yet.
Oh,
That's coming. Balance. Did we skip a slide? Well, our account balance has not changed. It is $2,629,456.80.
That's your list.
This week, the steering committee met and we decided after a year and a half, Ken Donnell in the back there has been so generous with his equipment for almost a year and a half, loaning us that for the community meetings. So the steering committee said, let's purchase audio equipment. So the next committed funds, yeah, then we committed to make that purchase. So our total commitments and expenditures are the $581,000, $404.69, which makes our available funds the $2,420,095.31. And still we have only committed or spent 19% of our funds.
Now we have Jeff Lamatina, who many of you might know has been having his house built over there on Valley View Drive. And he's going to talk to us a little bit about cost per square foot.
Yeah, no.
I don't talk well.
I have to hold it right next to
Oh,
you.
you've got to put it in now.
And I'll just tell you what it cost me and how I cut the cost back just a little bit. Right over my face. Okay. Okay. Sure. Where to start, except for I must have did something right because I got the county. I got the county to sign me off on my final inspection on the 11th of last month. I've been living there since December. So I did something right. I was quick out of the draw. I was at the building department 3 days after my house was completely leveled and all my trees. Lost over 3,000 trees on my property. I've owned that for 37 years. I've lived there for 28 years. And so smartest thing I did was I asked them what to do. I didn't know what to do. They told me, they gave me a list. I went over to talk to Ken Roper. First thing I did, I walked straight over to his place. He was willing to sit down and talk to me. And I said, think we can build a house for $200 a square foot? And he says, yeah, it's going to be really simple though. And so I left there knowing that the design makes all the difference. You keep it simple, your price is going to be a lot lower. And that's what I did. I went to Miss Kelly. Said, let's keep it relatively small and simple, fast, and to build right from the design. And that's what we did. And then I had the good fortune to run into Indian Valley Construction. They were awesome. They quoted me a price. They had to up their price because lumber prices shot through the roof, and they upped it to $250. Shook on that, and they came through. They did what they said they'd do. They were upstanding, they were honest, and they were reliable, they were prompt, and I had a lot of good to say about those guys. Anybody here looking for some builders, I'd go straight to those guys if I was you.
They built my house too, and I didn't do simple. We put in a lot of extra stuff because I don't ever want to deal with it, and it's $250.
Okay, I'll tell you what I did. They told me that, and so I helped them as much as I could, which wasn't very much. They built the house. I just did a little bit of stuff. Like I did.
nothing.
You did nothing.
I did nothing.
We'll get to
Like
that.
$250, I think it's a good price.
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, I got it right. These are my notes right there. 3 lines. My house is under one roof, including the decks and the cool little carport that I like, 1872 square feet. You divided that by the 34,000 that I paid. It's 285,894 to Indian Valley Construction, and I paid out myself another 54,000. That's $340,000. You divide that everything under that roof of that house, that's $187 a square foot. But that's not that accurate because those decks, fully a third of my place is decks and that carport, which is totally awesome. I couldn't be happier about it. You chop those completely off because they cost a little bit less to build. You just include what Ms. Kelly calls the conditioned space. That's 1,150 square feet inside the walls of my little place up there. That's still under $300. And so what I was able to do was money that I saved myself by, I did all the painting, I did all the staining, I hired roofers, and 2 roofers and myself roofed it. And when they needed screws, I ran to the hardware store. So they, at $70 an hour, they didn't have to send one of their guys up there. I just did it. I saved myself quite a bit of money there. And I was able to take that money and upgrade all kinds of stuff. Like I got solid oak floors for that price. I've got granite countertops made by Josh just over the hill from us. And some beautiful cabinets made by Davy House. And it's good. For me, my price is somewhere in between 187 and 295. So as near as everybody can figure, it's somewhere around $250. But I did stuff like I bought my own hot water heater. Indian Valley, they have a 20% markup of anything that you get through them, which I think is totally reasonable and completely fair, but you don't have to get it through them. Those guys are pretty reasonable as far as encouraging you to save money. And plus they got so much work now, they don't mind if you help them. But I say right now, what they did for me, I'm not here speaking on their behalf, and they didn't ask me to advertise for them. That's between you and them. They did for me, and they helped me a lot. Couldn't be happier. And if anybody wants to talk more details like hot water heaters, I know a lot about doors now. I'd be proud to have everybody here to pay me a visit, and I can show you real time what there's there and what it costs. That's about it.
I just want to add to that, that I've been reaching out to Indian Valley Construction to get numbers from them as well. And they are giving me a number closer to 300. Sorry, am I out of the, so, okay, on the little square. Sorry, Jeff, I just wanted to add to that because we did go over your house and I've been trying to get numbers as well, real concrete numbers post-construction from the local contractors. And when I talked to Todd, he said to be safe, it's better to think about closer to 300 a square foot. Now, again, if you're doing a lot of the help like Jeff did on his place, you can bring down some of that cost. But I just want everyone to know that that's the number Todd's given me, is about 300 a square foot.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Lindsay. So I talked to some other people that are building in the valley. And I got 250, 300, 350, and then 400. And the $400 a square foot, it's 2-story. It's huge, has a huge garage. And so there's a lot of difference. So we wanted to give you hope to think, okay, if I'm rebuilding my house, you're hearing $400 a square foot, but you can do it for cheaper than that. We have some tips from Tyler Pugh.
Yeah, I changed the slideshow on Marcia a little bit. Just to add more, so I was up here one time. Real quick, can we go to the next slide, Jane? There we go. So this is pretty small for y'all, but as you're looking at rebuilding, one, we want to encourage hope. We're seeing numbers 250 up to 400, but it really depends on type of building you're doing. The simplest way is the number of corners that you have in a building, the price goes up. The numbers of stories that you have, the price goes up. So a lot of that is the design. So what you set out to do at the beginning will dictate a lot of the prices. Where you have control is options like, one, holding a contingency in your process, because things change over time. A contingency is a certain fund that you put off to the side, right? That you're not going to engage into the building process until later on. Start higher at 10 to 15%. And as you go through the process, you can eat into your contingency that way. That way, you're not going over budget at the end of it. You're really starting with that in mind to begin with. When you're working with contractors, number one, highly recommend the local contractors around here. That keeps the economy and the money local. We might get to a place where they're at capacity, where you might want to build faster. So if you are talking to other contractors outside of the area, always do reference checks, 100%. Always do a site walk of one of their projects to understand how they build, whether they're clean on site or whether it's really dirty, things like that. Really start to understand who the contractor is, because that's a long-term relationship that you're building. When you're talking to the contractors, verify what's included when they're giving you a price per square footage. Does that include, if I buy the fixtures and equipment, things like that, tabletops, equipment like a hot water heater? Because if they're buying it, they're going to need to mark it up. That's part of the process. That's their business, right? So if you can buy those things and supply them, as long as you're not slowing them down in the process, right? Increasing the time, that's going to decrease your cost of the overall job. So find out what you can purchase, what you're comfortable with, and make sure it's there on time or even a little bit ahead of time. Fixtures, furnishings, and equipment. So things like, your sofa and things like that need to be factored in because you want to move into a place where you feel comfortable at the end of the day. So think about those things as you're adding into your budget. Confirm whether exterior landscaping or like decks, patios, outbuildings are included or not included in that square footage cost. So we use a number of 250 or a set number for square footage cost, but that is not always the all-in cost. You got to look at the project as a whole, including your landscaping and what kind of fixtures you wanted, as I mentioned before. There is a range, as we all know, from like Wayfair or online purchases to Home Depot and Low purchases, all the way up to specialty goods where you can buy a sink for $250 or you can buy it for $10,000. And so really understanding, working with your contractor, what the finished materials you're looking for in the space. A good contractor will know that price range and work with you through that process early on. With the supply chain issues that have been happening, they're starting to stabilize a little bit. But if price is really your priority, work with the contractor and say, I'm willing to if this say sink is not available, I would get this sink over here or have options. Be flexible in the process. Really, dollars and speed are your priorities. A lot of us also, because of where we're located, you're going to have to go get materials often, and that transit distance, I think that was brilliant as a role as an owner, that you can go buy the materials, screws, things like that. You'll learn about the building process as well. That's something that you can really help contractors out with. This will help. What I want to do is help to paint a better and a clearer picture for somebody early in their process. Because what's the most painful thing is somebody says they're $200 a square foot. The client or the customer upgrades all the finishes and it's $300 at the end and they don't have the budget to do that. That happens more often than not. And so really being clear with the contractor early on about the price will make your life easier and it will make the contractor's life easier at the long run. At the end of this, all I can say is hire a trusted contractor. That is their job, and their reputation is really built off of how they're doing their work and working with the clients. Such as Jeff coming up here, and thank you so much for telling your story to the community. That it gives me hope too. So thank you. So that's on the contractor end. I just wanted to follow up on Jeff on that. Next slide. In the room, there's about 14 California College of the Arts students. They've been working on a project since the beginning of the semester. They're building off of some of the work that was done in fall. Some of the students that are in the room today were actually here in fall as well. They're going to be around to have conversations through the rest of the day with y'all, with the meetings that are going to happen starting at 2 o'clock, but will be available starting at 1 o'clock with lunch. These students are incredible. I have to say they've been just a pleasure to be with. We have host families that are hosting them, and I've heard the same. So thank you to the students for being amazing. They've in the last day, they've helped to, since Thursday night, they've helped to set up the exhibition of the work that's been done to date, which is down at Potter Handy's office, and will be open to people to come in and see the work that has been done through the college students, as well as the Indian Valley Academy students. They set up the exhibition, and then they did a tour of a logging site. They went to the mill in Crescent Mills. They saw the CLT buildings, and they went to Riley's Jerky, and then they also hosted with myself and Tracy Ferguson at the county a meeting that we'll have later today. They hosted that last night, and it was an incredible success with getting feedback from the community and hearing where things are at. So we had a meeting last night. We're going to have another one today, again at 2 o'clock. Next slide. So this is just a photo of literally last night that was at the Taylorsville Hall. Some of you were there last night and some are here today. Again, thank you for showing up at both. We'd love to have your feedback, and if you had time to digest of it, we'd love to hear more of it. What I want to say is now just stick around today, please. This moment, this day, yesterday and today, for this community, Indian Valley, into Genesee and Canyon Dam and India Falls, is really a very important moment in the recovery process. The reason is from the beginning of the recovery, we have been going through a process of soliciting community feedback, gathering information, working with working groups for the recovery, the long-term recovery plan, recovery support function working groups, which is very long. But we've basically been working on a community level to listen to the community, gather feedback, bring that up to the county level to write these ideas and projects into the long-term recovery plan. Why is this important? At the end of the day, the long-term recovery plan is led by the county, but is coming from the communities across the whole county. But it's for the purpose of writing, where do we want to go? What is our vision? What is our values? And what are the projects that are stepping into that on the infrastructure, health and social services, natural and cultural resources, housing, and business buildings, and then economic development. So those are the 5 kind of sections. All those projects are on these boards around here. And we need your feedback in it. At 2 o'clock, we'll be describing this more, and we'll be handing out like little dots to have a voting exercise and things like that. So we'll explain what that's about. But over lunch, I would encourage you to look at these boards and start to read a bit and look and talk to the CCA students around their project. So at basically 1 o'clock forward, 2 o'clock is when we're going to do the introduction of it. We're going to have the room with 12 different stations around it. We want you to hit up each one of those stations so that we can gather more feedback. Tracy will explain more about the long-term recovery plan and the process of that at 2 o'clock, and we hopefully you will stick around and we can repeat the success of last night. Thank you so much.
Supervisor Kelly is going to talk to us briefly about zone captains.
Hi, okay, quick update on the zone captains. Many of you were here in November and December, when we were asking for help from the community to volunteer to be a zone captain for your neighborhood. And we are still short, I believe, 7 zone captains. We have some volunteers helping with the calls in those areas. We have developed a questionnaire. And the zone captains are currently actively reaching out to the community members, trying to find ones that might have been missed, and getting some answers about what kind of resources we need in the near term for rebuilding efforts, so that we can try and address those needs ahead of time, right? So that we don't all of a sudden have a bunch of people who need windows and we haven't found a good venue, or that kind of thing. We are also working with PRS and North Valley. I'm sorry, I keep.
Community Foundation.
Yeah, that one.
North Valley Catholic Social Services.
North Valley Catholic Social Services. Thank you. The 2 groups that are doing the that have managers, and they are also getting this information for us. So as soon as I have all of that information back, I will start to crunch the data, and we will see what our needs are currently. Just remember, this first round of questioning that we're doing is serving 2 purposes. Number 1, we are trying to make an initial connection between the zone captain and their neighborhood, so that we have future communication pathways moving forward. But this initial survey is directly geared towards trying to figure out what resources are needed for people who lost their homes in the near term, right? So that's what a lot of these questions are geared towards. And as we move forward, I'll try and address other needs as well. But right now, we're just trying to get a real sense of, are we going to have a huge housing boom in 6 months that we need to prepare for? Is there a large barrier in the way of people being able to rebuild that we need to try and address, so that we can then have a large housing boom, right? So anyway, if you are interested in being involved, please let us know. We are still looking for zone captains. data to report soon. Any questions?
All right, now we have Susie Hunter, who's going to talk to us about the new tool bank you might have seen at the spot. Big old, huge. Great.
So, so we're going, okay. Yeah, so we got the tool bank in, we're just waiting for the insurance to go through and then people can come them and loan tools out. So we've got a variety of tools, shovels, rakes, power tools. Mostly everything is battery operated and we'll have that all charged up for everybody. So, yeah, so probably in another week or so, I'll set up a schedule and be down there like a couple days a week or something, and then you guys can come and rent out tools or loan tools. And yeah, that's about it. Right.
All right, now you probably noticed a lot that's happening at the spot. And Sherilyn Schwartz is going to talk to us about the portable shop to be.
If you've driven through Greenville and by the spot, you've seen a great big building. So if, while my ladies are getting up here and spreading out the banner, I keep telling them they don't have to say a word. They just have to hold the banner. There's the banner. And we have one who doesn't want to be known, so she's going to hold the coming soon sign in front of her face. But in the meantime, I'm going to show you 7 quick slides or photos of how that building got there. So, Tyler,
Yeah.
can you do that for me? For one of you? The building was right back here behind the school, next to the Dan Brown's garden. And I actually had a slide. I was going to show you the poor babies that they had to come and trap to get out because the skunk family that has been terrorizing his garden were the movers wouldn't move the trailer until they were gone. So first we had two groups helping us move, and one of them provided all of the manpower, and they had to begin to work and lift the buildings up. There are 2 parts, and you can see they're slowly, and then they had to knock out the old footing, the one that they wouldn't let us use over here because it wouldn't be safe. And those guys had a chickens of a time breaking that sucker loose, those things loose. But keep going. And they did this around and around, and they kept lifting, jacks and wood and things lifted up. And you can see now it's taken apart. They've covered the middle part. That black stuff will not be there when we have a thrift shop. And you can see the trailer that's beginning to pull back. They were not able to pull the trailer over or building over because it doesn't have wheels. So they hired another group to come up, and they're the ones that brought the trailer. And there's a big jack right there in that building. And you can see that that's one of the ones that's helping to get it high enough so that trailer could get underneath there. Side. And the first trailer was leaving. We're all so excited. Next. Well, they got it over there, and here there's 2 big buildings, and they lifted it up, and they lifted it down, they lifted it up, down, and then they got over there, and then how to get the 2 pieces together? Well, they used these, and they did it when I wasn't there to catch a picture, of course. But you can see those are rollers. They got the buildings down onto those rollers and rolled them together then had to lift it up and up again to be able to put the new footings underneath it. Thank you. It is fancy looking, should be, the inspector said it will be sufficient for our temporary building. It's not as fancy as the big cement pad that they had said that we would have to have at first. But thank goodness it is almost there. I think that may be it. Oh, okay, and there it is. And it's back against the back of the lot so that it's not too far from Nellstown Pump. We'll be able to have things out in front, or if there are booths that come for some of those special days, be able to set up there, or people that need to park because of handicap. We have two doors, one in the back there, you can see it on the right. That is that goes into this to the sorting room. And then the one up in the front there is the one that you will come to buy things from. As you can see, we are the Indian Valley Thrift Shop Association, and I can tell you for once, truly, that we are back. No, we're not ready for your donation. No. We haven't been inside yet. We do need you. If you have. We have a core group that have come back, others that have found that they now have time and they're going to come and join us, but we still need help. This next Tuesday at the Plymouth Bank at 4 o'clock, we're going to have volunteers meeting, and then we'll begin to plan the next steps. And we have some shelving that has been donated that we have to figure out how to. We haven't even been in there yet. It looks big right now, but I know when we get our stuff in there, is not going to be big enough, right? You know that. But and you can see through and back in the back where we'll have we'll be able to sort things out and take your donations and get them priced and all of that kind of thing. So with luck, sometime in the future, we will soon be ready, relatively soon be ready for your donations. But even more importantly than that, we need your hands now to put things together, your hands to help man the time schedule. And then once we get open, we need you to come by, not just to give us, but to come buy things from us so that we can then begin to give those thousands and thousands of dollars yearly that we were giving away from our nonprofit organization into the community. We want to be able to give back to all of you as quickly as we can. So I have to tell you, thank you to the SPOT folks. At the beginning of the DFC, one of the committees was the SPOT, the beginning, the Greenville's Center. And if it hadn't been for the ladies and the gentlemen that came weekly, still come weekly, to plan how to keep that together and how to make it available to you. And I'm not going to keep talking because they're going to come up and talk about that. But thank you to them. Thank you for Kest for being, not only did he come and be part of that committee, but then he was with the DFC, and he was one that helped us get the grant so that we had the money so we could do this. I can't tell you how much we have to thank all of these people that have done all that they have done, help us get there. So thank you very much. Questions? I know we said questions and very short questions. Thank you. The Thrift Shop Association will be meeting at the Plymouth Bank o'clock this coming Tuesday. We meet every once a month on the third Tuesday at 4 o'clock there. So if you can't come this time, you're welcome to come another time, anytime. And what other is it, Joan? Okay, I shall see you afterwards.
Drive by today if you have time, because it looks even better. They put the ramp up yesterday, Travis and probably Kest, I don't know who all did it. And there's an electric meter out in front. We'll have electricity. Look really good now.
Oh, and we may be able to put a mural on the side. We are gonna beautify it. We get to paint it, so it's like fit in with the spot as well. So it's not, and the Rotary folks have been so wonderful. They're the ones that have gotten it there and done all that work, and they're going to put a skirt around it for us as well as the ramp so we get in and out of it. Thank you.
Okay, now we have Cassie Barr from the spot in the chamber.
Yeah. Here. Now.
This is at 100%.
That's not gonna work. Oh, you want to explain what's going on? I didn't realize you were here.
Yeah, so I just did a quick video yesterday for everybody to kind of see what's going on down there. We have pretty awesome shade structures going up over all the food trucks. Or, you know, some of the food trucks started having water issues, so we're leaking. So these shade structures are gonna be great for that and keep everybody dry while they're ordering food. The greenhouse right here is a great gathering spot for everybody to come in and just enjoy time together as a community, okay? Way Baby is going to be opening soon, hopefully, fingers crossed. I think they have, they are hopefully getting signed off on Tuesday. Fingers crossed, everybody. So here's the thrift store as they're putting it all together. And then the tool bank. So the tool bank is going to go up between the bathroom and the thrift store on the side. And then our bathrooms, we have water in there and electric in there, so it's pretty exciting. Right now, the only ADA bathrooms are over by Valley Grind. So if you need an ADA bathroom, you have to go over there. So this is a spot closet. PG&E decided to donate this closet for the locals for winter needs. So they donated some coats, some boots and gloves and that kind of stuff. So if anybody's in need of that kind of stuff right now, please hit up one of the business owners and we'll open it up for you and get you guys in for that. So, okay, so I have a list of things. We're working on beautifying the spot for everybody. Winter was really hard. So please forgive us for having it look the way it did. So we're working on beautifying it right now. Spring, we're gonna have a bunch of plants, a bunch of flowers out there. So we will have a work party. So if anybody wants to come, we'll let you know about the dates next time. Let's see. We want to reiterate that the spot is open to everybody. Everybody's welcome to come to the spot. You can plan events, host events in the greenhouse if you'd like. Melinda Griffin is going to host a paint night in May. So a paint and sip. So I think it's $45 and $15 of everybody that comes, it gets donated to the spot to help pay our bills. So that's kind of fun. You can look on Facebook for all of our events that we're hosting. So if you want to be part of it, show up. We're also doing St. Patrick's Day. We're going to have a big party out there. So we want everybody to come, dress up, wear green, have a good time. 6:30, we're gonna do a family movie night, and then after that, karaoke. So it'll be a blast. So come, have fun. We'll have green popcorn for the kids. So, let's see. Thrift store is opening, so that's pretty exciting. So we are in need of at least one more food truck. I believe Hot Dog is coming back and they're going to have a permanent space there. And we're hoping Indian Tacos will be kind of semi-permanent there. So that's kind of in the works right now, but we do need at least one more food truck and or businesses that want to pop up. and set up a trailer there. We have meetings every other week, every other Thursday at 6 o'clock. So not this Thursday, but next Thursday, we have another meeting. So if anybody wants to come, bring ideas, help out, that would be awesome. And we just meet in the greenhouse. 6 o'clock. Yeah. Okay, so Chamber, Kira, did you want to come up? Kira King is our president of the Indy Valley Chamber, and I'm the vice president. We just want to let you guys know that we're having, we're working on getting as many businesses and individuals to sign up as members of the chamber. We're trying to grow our chamber here.
It's been a great showing so far. Super proud of the community for coming together. But keep coming.
Yeah. March 6th is our next meeting, and that's at 6 o'clock at the Plumas Bank. We're going to kind of host our meetings throughout the community to support all the businesses that have big enough gathering spaces. So I think next month, I think April is going to be at the golf course, Mount Hope Golf Course.
And we're trying to put the calendar together kind of for the year for the meetings. So any businesses that you know or have ideas about, let us know so we can contact them and see if we can get there for a meeting and get that on the yearly calendar.
And at this meeting, we're going to have Workforce Alliance come, and they're going to talk to all of our business owners here on the programs that they provide. I don't know if anybody knows, if you are the business owners, what they can do. They can provide employees for you. So that brings me to March 18th, the same day as the next month's meeting here. We're going to host a job fair at the spot, and it's going to be from 12 to 4. I know you guys are going to be here till 2. I think 1 or 2.
No.
Okay, so we're starting at 12 over here. So we're looking for anybody who has a business and needs employees to sign up to have a booth. We're also going to have the Workforce Alliance there to build resumes for anybody needing jobs. So they'll be there to work on that. And then also we need people to show up who want jobs. So we're going to have we're going to have food, restaurants there. We're going to have contractors there. And, the list goes on, hopefully. So please call the chamber, any of the chamber members to sign up if you want that. And we have flyers in the back, but I don't have a lot of them. So please take pictures of them. So, all right. Did I miss anything?
No, I don't think so. I think we're trying to get the website up and running so that all that sort of thing will be, it's up and running, but really managing it. So the information download for people will be a lot easier, hopefully soon, but it's a work in progress. We've been really doing a lot of infrastructure background work to get everything up and running again. So bear with us and have patience, but we're getting there.
And on that, we have our Facebook page is up and running for the chamber. We have a calendar, like a local calendar of events for any events that's happening in our valley. So that calendar is up. It's kind of a tentative, like we don't know some of the events. So please contact us if you have events that are not on that calendar. Contact Alicia Hamrick if you have events or anybody. And then May, we're going to have the Valley-wide yard sale. So, the date to be announced.
And Ava Gorman's heading that up as far as the committee. We're trying to get committees up and running again for these sorts of things. She's setting that up. So get in contact with her. If anybody, we need more volunteers. Try to get out, maps about it and talked about different alternatives, maybe having little food stopover areas around the valley. So any ideas, welcome, come to our meetings, again, more meetings for the committees, but.
I want to thank Kest and the Rotary for all their help at the spot.
When I found out this week that the Portola preschool is getting brand new preschool play equipment, and they're giving us their old equipment to put at the side of the Greenville United Methodist Church. So we'll put some picnic benches there, and there'll be some play equipment for little kids. All right, disaster case manager update from Paula and Cindy.
Good morning, everybody.
Excuse me, I'm Paula Johnston. I'm from Plymouth Rural Services.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sandy and I'm with Northern Valley Catholic Social Service. I know it's a mouthful, so NVCSS, super easy. Oh, yeah, it's my turn. So as we are both the federally funded disaster case management program. So we both work collaboratively in unison. If I may get the next slide, please. So again, as I mentioned, we're both funded by FEMA to provide disaster case management to help survivors to reach as close as possible into their pre-disaster state and or safe and sustainable housing. So that is essentially the goal of our program. Unfortunately, one of the things that's not up there is that our program is via contract. So currently right now, our contract is set to sunset in August of this year. So we really want to make sure that we have the capability, if you need help navigating a rebuild process, I know Tyler kind of mentioned a little bit of it. We do have 2 construction cost analysts within our program. This is their specialty. Please reach out to us and we will help navigate vetting a lot of the contractors, explaining, breaking down the process. It's 100% free. They will be with you every step of the way through your entire rebuild and also explain some of those processes to make sure there's no miscommunication and making sure that the funding that you have set for your rebuild is actually, that you stay on track with that as well. And if for some reason you do have any unmet needs, we do provide some potential funding via the unmet needs roundtable. So that's when you can also be partnered up with a disaster case manager. So again, it's not just advocacy. We're here to really support whatever your recovery looks like. So again, kind of going into that support, guidance, and honestly, just directions of rebuilding, especially now that hopefully we are hoping in spring we have a big, robust just planning. And within regards to the rebuild process, both Dan and Kevin, our construction cost analyst, will be hosting a permitting workshop to navigate that process for you also. And that is set to be scheduled for March 11th from 12 to 2 and tentatively at the spot.
So with support and with using other people's funding, there are some rules around that, and we want you to be aware are. Our job is to help you navigate this process as quickly and as easily as possible. But that does mean that you have to be fully disclosing your information. If you received insurance money, if you received money from FEMA, if you're part of the PG&E settlement or lawsuit. Our job when we present to funders is to ensure that the donations they received are actually going to truly unmet needs. And that's really important for you to understand. You will have to disclose to share your documents. The other thing we want you to realize is your neighbor's recovery is different than your recovery. If your neighbor got something, you may not get that. You may get something different. And I know it's easy to say so-and-so got such and such. Just keep in mind, everybody's different and everybody's needs are different. And then we wanted to share with you where we so far. We got our official contract in May and we've accomplished a lot.
Next slide, please. Yes. So we're super excited. We have a total cases currently open right now that we're working with 265 survivors. We have closed 573 cases. That's a bit higher than I would like it to be honest. But a lot of folks have relocated. You guys, again, may not need funding support. But again, if you need support when it comes to the rebuilding process and just guidance, please reach out to us. That's why we would love to reconsider your case and reopen you and partner you up with our construction cost analyst.
Thus far, we have made 1,075 referrals to other organizations, which includes a monetary value of $553,293.24. You can have that in there. We have the option to receive funding through state housing opportunities funding through United Way. 23 folks have received $69,737 of support in that area.
And within that, again, we have set up the unmet needs roundtable where disaster case managers present their cases on behalf of survivors. And so far, 2 have been funded for a total of $15,281. Our goal, again, our contract is only through August. So please, this is donated money. We want to be able to hear from you, and let's spend all of the money that has been donated so far. So please, please, please reach out to us.
And then lastly, we wanted to touch on the FEMA trailers up in Westwood. I know we have a lot of thoughts about those trailers, and we want you to know progress is being made. Of the folks that are living up there, 5 have purchased their FEMA trailers. Some have decided to stay in Westwood. Some have decided to return to their property. And we've now secured housing for 2 folks that were living in the trailers and have decided to go into some sort of apartment setting for their future housing. So we're making progress. The deadline is fast approaching. Our disaster case management teams are working quickly to safe and stable housing. The last thing that we just wanted to mention, we do have disaster case managers here today. We're all kind of bunched up back there. You'll see them waving. So please come back and talk. We have lots of resources. We have chocolate. So please, so please come and talk to us. Dan is also in the back as well. He is one of our construction cost analysts. He's a familiar face. Just go and chat with him. Thanks. Tracy and Chuck will be at the permit workshop for any questions that you may have. Thank you, Dan.
Okay, we have Kevin Goss, Board of Supervisors report.
Buddy, nice to see everybody out today, and special thanks to my county employees that came out today on a Saturday to engage in our RSF workshop this afternoon at 2 o'clock. It's I encourage everybody to stick around for that. We really need your input on that. So we've been working hard, had lots of meetings over the last few months. So anyway, we're looking to get that kicked off. We are going to be scheduling a Plymouth County Board of Supervisors meeting on March 28th here in Greenville at the Plymouth Bank, where we will have an agenda to be announced, but it's going to be kind of a workshop type of a setting, I think, and we'll have dialogue going back and forth with the board. Also want to update you, I went to Washington, D.C. to lobby on our behalf and all fire survivors' behalves throughout the state in regards to Bill HR 176. HR 176 is a bill to hopefully what will, I've been garnering bipartisan support across the board to eliminate taxes on your PG&E settlements or any kind of a claimant settlement throughout the U.S. Interesting, learned a lot and really stumped out there on your behalf and walked all over that capital to try and get support for this. And I think it's moving along. It's going to be 6 to 8 months before it gets maybe hopefully onto a trailer bill and gets passed. But it is an unfair tax, and it is a tax that should not be applied to these settlements because it's almost a double taxation. And I wanted to make that very, very clear that this is very important to me for rebuilding our community. Tubbs fire survivors, Malibu fire survivors. So it's not just rural. I was a rural representative for this delegation, but it's across the board. It really, we had folks from Colorado there from the Boulder fire, and it's really picking up steam. So I look forward to hopefully giving you good news on that. And HR 176, if you want to follow it online. So other than that, like I said, the Board of Supervisors meeting on the 28th. Hard at the board level, and like I said, thanks to our county employees for being here today to go through this afternoon workshop. Thank you. time of the board meeting is usually, it's gonna be its usual time at 10 o'clock, I believe, at Plymouth Bank, but we will advertise that and I will. Oh, yes, and then, yes, sorry. Thank you, Tracy. The other portion of my time up here is going to be dedicated because we've got a lot of questions and stuff about the Arcadis folks and the insurance piece through the debris removal. We have Arcadis on the line. I believe it's James. He's on Zoom, and Tracy is here as well. We have handouts and stuff, so we want to talk about that process real quick.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tracy Burris, and I'm the planning director for Plymouth County. Is James on? James, are you
Hi,
on?
Tracy. Can you hear me okay?
Unmute him.
Yes.
Can you hear me okay?
Can we put a microphone by? Okay, so there are some handouts here. This is insurance recovery. So we've hired Arcadis as a consultant to help us through and to navigate insurance recovery. And we'll talk about the process. There's handouts. These are flow charts. So if you want a handout, we'll have them up front. And I think James will be walking through the process. We hope. Let's see if.
Can you hear me?
We can hear him on, we can hear you on the computer.
We have got them put there.
The audio or
Which
aux is in
wire?
there. It's on the side, but it's still coming out of the computer.
Yeah.
That's
my
We could continue and then,
This is the end.
oh, this is Dan. Okay.
And
Try it again.
We have another, no. We need another.
Hello, can you hear me?
We need another cable.
Does anyone, while we wait here, does anyone want a copy?
We have another cable like this.
Yeah.
We need two. There were two.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
We need another cable.
Also, when you HDMI.
You're good. You're doing good. Hang in there. You got your bags. Okay. We're also support all this. Yeah, we have this.
Let's do. Do you want to do that?
No. I don't want to,
Just ask.
I don't want to switch stuff around. You don't have to. Try it now. Ask him to speak.
Test. Hello.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you
Go
hear
ahead.
me?
We're working on it.
Okay.
There was an input. I don't have mouse control.
Do a share up while we're waiting.
Sure.
Okay. Chrissy Corbett from the CSD that would like to give you an update of what's going on.
Hi, everyone. This is just a quick update on the water and sewer and fire community services district. And we've had, as far as staffing, Bob Orange has taken a position as a fire chief. He's a fire chief now, so we have a vacancy on the board that we're going to advertise. So if anybody's interested in joining the board, there is a vacancy. There's the office staff has changed, so we think that we've got a good handle on billing now. Read, you know, on a regular basis now. We have a new mobility manager, Mike Sunday, who is used to work for Folsom Prison and in water, has a 30-year career in water, so he's a credentialed water master. And we have more. So an operational update. We have 3 waste treatment plants, one down Hot Springs, one on Highway 89, and then the one in Taylorsville.
See, here's,
Our goal is to get all of them rebuilt.
Waiting for
and modernized.
So which one?
So Greenville is completed. The one down in Hot Springs, all of the new pumps and new controls are completed.
Can you speak again
one
for
on
us?
Highway 89 will be completed.
Yeah, can you hear me?
And then
Okay.
we'll move it over to Taylorsville.
Test.
Field for that. So the waste treatment plants are all going to be, you know, completely overhauled. The 2 water treatment plants are fully operational. Greenville and Crescent Mills. Mike gave us an update last Wednesday at our board meeting. And he said that he really likes both plants. So again, we have 2 credentialed operators that are maintaining those plants. Their goal is to make them safe And then to install automation on them so that they can be monitored through a system called SCADA. And so that's on the books as well. Moving on to the fire department, our plans for the new firehouse should be done and in our hands first. And then we'll start scoping that out and building the new fire. Sure. So any questions? Later. Okay. One more share.
Yeah. Speak again.
Hi, can you hear me?
That's audio.
Lori Rollins better.
This is
So I just want to let everybody know, we have changed our monthly board meeting for the IVRPD. We are meeting at the IVCSD. That's where our new office is. We're sharing an office in there, renting a space from them. And our next board meeting, we're going to be
Speak
meeting
again.
on the third
Hey,
Tuesday.
test.
Nothing.
And
Still working on it.
that's at 6 o'clock. We still have a couple of openings for board members. We have some people that have been coming with interest. So if you do have an interest, we encourage you to come and join us.
Try again.
And I think that's
Test.
Nope. So. Anyway, thank you.
I try both the two options here, nothing. And
Have Tracy.
yeah,
Have Tracy do it.
yeah, because look, he's got. Wait. Speak again, James. Speak again.
Hello.
Yeah, test.
Then do you want to put it ahead?
Are you okay? Which computer ran out?
We don't have any more.
You've got
Yeah, right there.
this question and answer, and then we should.
They're moving with them now.
So Cass Porter would like to talk to us about the Maidu representative election to the steering committee.
That's loading finally. But it's still digging.
Actually, I'm not going to say much. We didn't have enough nominations secured by today, so we won't be doing the election at this meeting. We will be doing the election at the next meeting.
Yeah, this little trick.
Okay, we'll have a time for question and answer. So if you were a presenter, if you could come up in front, and then we could have people raise their hand and I
Are
will
they using the same mouse?
give them the microphone.
I don't need it.
I know, but it's where the. Something up there. It must be extending. That's what's going on.
So I have a couple of questions. The first one is for the
So
spot
without the sound, like really can't.
or the chamber. You were talking that you needed
What does that
some
make for
more
options?
trailers, food trailers,
Kind of stuck here.
and I guess you're not.
It's not loading. Yeah.
Cassie?
Yeah,
Is
Cassie.
Cassie still here?
Actually, I was to switch
Okay.
between those two. Okay, try. Neither of those work.
Request for Kevin then.
I mean,
Kevin,
that's the
would
one we
you
want. Which was
recommend
J.
that we call our
the
congressman and
GJ.
other congressmen.
That's the, right? Yeah.
Promoting or. you
That's what
say,
that
hey,
turned
vote
all the
for
way
HR
out.
100%. The simple answer is yes, definitely right.
Yes.
Just more call and make your voices heard and get it out there. But yeah, they definitely know. After I was back there, they definitely know this is on our radar. So to be able to hear from the community.
That's
is
nice. Take us to
definitely
windows.
100%.
Well, thank you.
But this.
Yeah, and Kevin Haley is coming up next week, and he is our new representative. Doug LaMalfa is the one that's carrying this bill, our former representative. And so Kevin Kiley will be in Quincy next week also as well.
So we can test.
Hi, my name is Leila. I'm
Might get
asked the same
feedback,
question at every meeting, so here we go. When do you think your mission statement might include all of the communities or places that burned? Because I come to all these meetings, my place isn't included. We're probably never gonna get any help, and it's really frustrating. I lost my business. The appraisals came in about $10 million. I probably will never get enough money to fix everything. I couldn't afford insurance, and it's not on a sliding scale. I'm a senior citizen on a fixed income. And so I look to this group for help.
but I'm probably never gonna get help because my place is outside of the parameters of your mission statement. And then on that same note, are you eventually going to develop zone captains for areas that burn that aren't included in your zone cap?
We would love a volunteer to lead that up. We need volunteers. We would love somebody to head up and perimeter group of zone to call, because it's a much smaller quantity of properties in the outlying areas of Indian Valley than it is in the downtown area. So we would love a volunteer to take that on. If you're interested, please contact me and we can help get you into that process. We would love somebody to call the people that lost homes and to get that data in. But we just, we had to focus on what we had the resources for at the moment. And this is the highest density area. And so that's where the focus was right now. But if you or someone would love to be a zone captain, I would love to work with you to get data for those areas.
And I would love to do that. I take the challenge, except one caveat, and that is that I think that there's a lot more places, because we've all been ignored by this group, that have been burned, and there might be more of us than there are of you. And at that point, then you guys need to step up and help, because I can't carry the entire county of places that burn.
So the initial zone captain was focused on Greenville. I think Indian Dam already has their community network set up that they kind of initiated. And I'm not sure, and Indian Falls does as well, right? So there are other communities that already have their little groups formed with their zone captains, so to speak. But we didn't include some of the outlying Indian Valley areas because initially the focus was on the high density areas. I'm telling you something.
Yeah, I'd say like, people, we're running off of the FEMA data, basically of structures that were burned. So if there are people that are not in that FEMA data, you're saying that there's an overwhelming mass out there that we are not seeing or recognizing. One, I haven't heard that. I've heard from you, but I haven't heard like a large mass. And so if there are others, I would encourage to gather together, and I'm happy to talk with you and figure out how to work on the zone captain, but we are definitely at capacity, basically.
And just so you know, you do qualify for disaster case management services as well. You are able to come to the unmet needs roundtable as well. So our program is structured for 4610 Plymouth County Dixie Fire. So we are not specific to just one area. So please connect with us and we would love to get you some more help and support with the disaster case management team as well.
So when the DFC was formed, the commitment was initially to the 4 most burn scarred areas. And we are in the same boat. There is so much work to be done. And one of the core drives of the DFC is making sure everybody has sustainable housing. And then moving the community forward, not us, moving the community forward to be able to get themselves organized to keep moving and addressing all the needs. I think the two things, and I will say this just as from my own personal frustration, when we look at needs, we all know that I would assume, and I hope this is the case, most people are doing settlements, are in the process of settling. And the reality is those settlements are coming in high. And one of the biggest challenges is when people come to the table for assistance and they have FEMA funding and they have other funding and they now have obviously all the cases aren't settled yet, but they're coming in and they're coming in high. It's important for us. We are looking at a very, 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 very tiny amount of money that we received through the PG&E settlement. So if we're not sitting on large sums of money, and our responsibility with that money is to make sure, first and foremost, that unmet needs are met. So when you look at unmet needs, you are looking at, you should be coming to the table when you have expended everything you have
And then you still need something more to be able to finish housing. It's all about sustainable housing. And then our job is solely to get all the people in the room and in our community organized to carry out the next steps for building. That is the role of the Dixie Fire Collaborative. We committed to 4 hard-hit communities because we know the same cry that everybody comes up here. The thrift store, the zone captains, the DFC are looking for people to do the work. Because it's going to take this entire community. If we are going to move forward well, it will take this entire community to say, this is what I'm coming with skin in the game. And that's the biggest challenge we have. Everybody wants things done, but the skin in the game isn't there. And we all, every person has to have skin in the game if we are going to build back and thrive. If we keep moving and it's the same and the same, and that's the other piece. With the DFC, we have term limits. So my term limit is up at the end of December. I'm hoping we can find someone to step into the position, because I can tell you, it's a lot of work. It's not just holding one thing. It's holding hundreds of things every day, going to the table to fight for them, writing grants, identifying grants, talking to the community. Do you want this? This opportunity is out there. And I don't know about you, but it's my first rodeo. Okay, my jam was recovery. But all of this, it's everybody's first rodeo out there. Not a single person here, with the exception of maybe legislation, has been involved in this kind of a devastation. And so if we want to succeed, you have to have skin in the game. And it can be depending on your capacity, it can be a tiny skin in the game. But you have to have skin in the game. A handful of people are not going to pull this off well. So that's
I think we have the person.
Why don't you introduce?
Yeah, we had one more presenter hop in James. It sounds like it's on. We're gonna jump back to questions right after the presenter. I promise we'll get to questions, Clint. So, James.
James, can you speak for us?
Yeah, test. Can you hear me?
Here.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you on the local machine. Hold on one second.
Okay.
Can you try again?
Sure. Test.
No. That's everything. Can you try one more time?
Test. Hello.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
so
we'll
we're
we'll have
gonna-
to push you to next
Well,
month, or we'll
no,
send something out.
We have another workaround. The workaround is someone can listen to him and repeat what he's saying. So
I think we need to move to the next.
Hey, can you please tell people to look in the chat and email me any questions? I put the email in there.
So we'll
Check.
jump back. First of all, my apologies that this has been a choppy meeting. Going back to capacity again. If anyone wants to volunteer for any one of these positions up here and make it streamlined, if you're frustrated in any way, we would love to have you. So capacity again, thank you for your patience. Clint, you had a question?
From the Dixie Fire Collaborative Co-Chair, to address Leila's concern, it really wasn't so much of, I mean, there's a couple of different issues here. Some people lose their primary residence and they apply for a lot of aid. Some people don't lose their primary residence, but then they lose everything else. And that puts them in a different category of assistance. And it seems unfair. And I just want to mention that because I think there's a lot of people that need to realize that whether you're in the Billings area or outside, there's that issue of did you lose your house or did you not? And that's, I think it's really kind of unfair because everybody seems to have losses, but you didn't lose your house, so you get treated differently, which is unfortunate.
Where we are, we need.
My name is Crystal Leonard.
I'm a long-term property owner here in Greenville, and I've availed myself to the information that is on the Dixie Collaborative website, the North Valley Community Foundation, to understand the framework and governance of the money that has been contributed through the court action. I have read the judgment that provided the 300,000 or $3 million for the funding of development here in the community. And who would be the spokesperson for the Dixie Collaborative? And your name?
Sue Weber.
Hi, Ms. Weber.
Hi.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
So I think there's some misunderstandings about the funding that's available. I was in a meeting with this lady some time ago, and she mentioned frustration about not having economic assistance in her area. I know the Canyon Dam area is also a burn down area. And looking through your grant criteria, I want to understand the framework and governance of the money and try to ask pertinent questions that may answer questions that I keep hearing from people. I couldn't answer them until I read your information on the website. So can you tell me, how is the Dixie Collaborative affiliated with the Butte or the North Valley Community Foundation?
Yes. So when the fire came through, North Valley Community Foundation is a nonprofit foundation, and they actually came into being after the campfire because a ton of money was coming in to the tune of 70 to 100 million for the rebuild. When we, right after the fire, when we recognized that we needed to get a group together, we had no nonprofit status. So there was no nonprofit, and the few nonprofits in the county didn't have the capacity either, because we operate very simply with very specific projects. So North Valley Community Foundation started with the Almanar Foundation, a funders roundtable. And at the time, many people were at the table: United Way, Red Cross, religious organizations, Sierra Institute, Plymouth Bank. So organizations who were receiving money made the decision to come together and create a roundtable. And for about the first 9 months, it was just meeting really hardcore needs.
So my next question is, what is the governance process with the funding? Who has the governance process? Who awards the grants under the criteria that is set in their grant guidelines? What is the review process for grants? And then what is the eligibility for grants?
Great.
Or assistance?
Great
Based
question.
on the judgment that was at the court and the distribution of funding, which I want to thank our Board of Supervisors for trying to distribute the funding as equitably and as thoughtfully as they could to support the tragic burn down of all these communities. So if you.
Great question. Yeah, great, absolutely. So the Dixie Fire Collaborative formed, they use the North Valley Community Foundation as the fiscal agent. So as a fiscal agent, we got together, they already shared their expertise for grant guidelines. The Dixie Fire received $3 million. When the disaster case managers come in, that is for individual unmet needs.
Wait just a minute, Sue. So we have a grant process in place.
Correct.
And there is an applicant that comes and submits an application, and I notice there are a couple portals to submit a grant application. So those grant applications are submitted. How are competing grant applications, how are they selected and awarded?
So the North Valley Community Foundation has a grant group that when a grant is submitted, they review it. They make the decisions so there's two things happening. There's the funders roundtable, where there are currently now, everyone expended money. There are 3 organizations that still have money: the North Valley Community Foundation, the Almanar Foundation, and the Dixie Fire Collaborative.
So that's the funders roundtable. Dixie Fire Collaborative has the amount still that's here. The organization that makes the decision for the Dixie Fire Collaborative is those members, those voting members on the Dixie Fire. That's
So they select the grants?
the North Valley community. So for example, I'll give you a really easy thing. Indian Falls has a representative on the Dixie Fire Collaborative. Canyon Dam, all the core folks that we're responsible for, or communities. Indian Fall came to the Dixie Fire Collaborative and said, we are desperately in need, and they give a whole layout of what they need to be able to get water, to start working with water for
Did
their.
they fill out a grant application?
Absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely.
So the grant application went to, I don't need the
So
details of the grant.
That just goes to the North Valley Community Foundation. That one specifically, the Dixie Fire Collaborative voted and agreed. The steering committee, sorry. The Dixie Fire Steering Committee voted on that, said the Dixie Fire would support that, because that's one of our roles. So the funding came directly from the Dixie Fire.
So if I look at the minutes with the Butte, or I want.
North Valley Community
North
Foundation.
Valley Community Foundation, I will see that there is a select committee that has a criteria.
No, you would look at there's two, again, what's really hard is you have two operations, and it's important to understand this. Some of the grants that we write, they're large, and we're trying to be good stewards of them.
I'm just talking about the 3 million,
Okay,
not any of
okay.
the other grant.
No, but you need to understand this about the 3 million. If there's a big project, so currently, if we would have sponsored the projects we sponsored straight out, our money would be gone. Okay,
So
what we do is we go to the table and support that, so
So
we can.
who awards the grants for 300 million?
The
I
North
wonder if you
Valley
answer that
Community
question?
Foundation hands out the grants. The input is from the steering committee.
Okay.
Okay, so the
it would
steering
be in
committee
their
votes.
minutes.
Absolutely.
That- Who is eligible for the 300 or the $3 million? What entities, who is eligible to apply and receive funding from
So-
the $3
So
million?
you have to be a nonprofit. And it's mostly based, they just give out money. The money is distributed from one entity foundation to nonprofits. So only nonprofits can apply for that money.
So there's no individuals, I have your grant guidelines here, it says
Correct.
Dixie Fire Grant Program will not consider grant requests for fundraising events, annual funds, endowment funds, politically lobbying, individuals, or activities that are restricted to members of faith, capital improvements, such as new structures, repair of damaged structures, or acquisition of structures will generally not be considered except for possible short-term, low or no interest loans. I think there are some misunderstandings that money was available to individuals. So I want to lay that to rest. This is not available to individuals.
That's correct.
So for an economic development strategy for individual businesses, where are they able to go to promote their individual businesses? Because I have heard from a number of people that they do not want to come back to the community because there is nothing to come back to. And I'm interested in supporting your collaborative. And as you know, Sue, the most successful leg on the stool for a collaborative is a lot of communication. And it is a bottom-up approach and not a top-down approach. And I've been involved in collaborative activities that show that when you solicit, what you're trying to do, solicit comments from the community and memorialize those in reports, because right now our community is fractured. We do not have people talking to each other. I talk to Gay and Trav, they have their home. I have my home, but I have a lot of people that lost their homes that are not in this community. I don't know what their thinking is. And I have not seen any information that I can use to tell my friends and my folks about what you all are doing.
So have you compiled these broad, you're pulling out a book here, Tyler, are these communications from individuals within the communities of this lady's community, of Canyon Dam, because those people aren't here.
So just
They
like-
have this, they have left the community, they live in communities that aren't here. So how do you outreach them? They cannot come to this
That is-
meeting. I came a long ways today, so I want you to encourage me that you have spent the time, that you will document this so that I know what everybody else is thinking, so that I can contribute to that as well. And I know that you all are being guided in the right direction from the community and not from up here.
So I'm gonna pass it to him, but one thing I want to say to you, one, I really appreciate what you're saying. Number two, the biggest challenge, and anybody who sits on the DFC steering committee, every single meeting, we struggle. How do we better communicate? How do we better get people to the table? And it is brutal on how to be able to do that. You have websites, we have meetings, you have, and then we made phone calls, individual phone calls to check in with people. So, but we still know we need, and again, currently, and this is a conversation we're having right now. Currently,
Let
we
me-
don't have
let me-
unique marketing and messaging.
Let me avail you to some information as well. There is a group called James Kent and Associates, and Tyler, you run in those circles. I would avail you to look at the website. His name is James Kent. And he formed the term social ecology, and he has rebuilt communities, and it is not specific to him. BLM has used it, coal mining towns have used it that have lost their communities, fishing
Yeah.
communities have lost it, and other fire communities. And I think you could learn from their experience of rebuilding communities from disasters.
So deeply appreciate that. I've researched over 70 different firms, interviewed 70 different firms for this community to figure out who would be a good fit. I will add them to the list and talk to them. This is my first rodeo too. I'm also sometimes paid, sometimes volunteered in this role. So with that, you had two questions: is how is the community been engaged, and how are we listening to the community? In my hand right here is the phase 0 and phase 1A. Basically, these were workshops that were
How
done.
is this being funded?
Yes, so that was funded when Sue was mentioning the funders roundtable. That was sent to the organizations, including the North Valley Community Foundation.
Is that
The-
funded?
Yes.
Partial, that was a small percentage. Most of it was philanthropic sources at the North Valley Community Foundation.
So they provided more grant funding to help, they provided more grant funding to augment the funding with the community, with the $3 million.
They provided funding, yes, to do what you're asking for, which is the community engagement and outreach process, because we knew that the county wouldn't be able to move fast enough to meet the needs of the community. So
Do
we
you
needed
have-
philanthropic
Do you
sources.
have an oversight committee of all the funding that comes into?
Yeah, so,
And I will say you can also, we have a board retreat from a strong work. And we take nothing, we take no overhead or anything. It's a project, the money comes in, it goes out. We will have a binder at every of our third meetings with everyone who was paid out, their invoices, what their scope of work was. That's Plymouth Strong. Whether other people come to the table, we have no capacity. And again, challenge the community.
May I be on your oversight so that I get information firsthand?
So we
And I'm able
currently,
to disseminate it to the other people that don't take the time to understand or understand the grant process.
Yeah, so we would love to, and we have a bunch of questions popping up right now. I would love to really quickly, to your points really quickly, phase 0 and phase 1A was our chance to engage the community in a process. That information was distilled into these two summaries. They're on, I'm hoping they're on the website soon. The woman who ran the website, she just had a baby. And so for a month, she's been working with the baby. Again, we are at capacity. So I hear you on the communication and I want it to be better. I want to engage more people. I'd love to cold call everyone and just see where they're at. And we're definitely trying. Yes. And we all have 24 hours in a day and we need more money to do it, to be honest. We need more capacity. That's really what we're trying to get. So with that, there was a question in the back. Oh, there's a question online and then we'll go back to that.
Sorry, I lost my voice. From Zoom, and folks want to know who are the contractors that are located in Indian Valley that are available to rebuild.
Yeah, I would suggest reaching out to Dan in the back there, Dan Litchfield, Plymouth Rural Services. He can connect you with the local contractors. He'll get the email, whoever's online. Is his email on the website by any chance? Plymouth Rural Services website? Yeah. And also Kevin Naylor with North Valley Catholic Social Services. Reach out to them. They're the ones that are starting to vet the contractors that we would look at beyond our local ones.
Okay, another question from Zoom that we answered previously, different meetings, is for Kevin Goss. Folks want to know when they rebuild their homes, do they have?
We are. I think Tracy might still be here and yeah, somewhere, but we are working through that process still. One of our RSF projects over here on our boards is a microgrid. And it's a solar microgrid, and that particular project would exempt folks for solar. It's my understanding, but we are still working through that process. Yes.
For that one question.
Ben Colby, I'm the co-chair of the Dixie Fire Collaborative. I'm also an advisor for the Sarah Small Business Development Center. I want to address your questions about economic development because we all know how important it is. I think the last survey that Keston and the crew did mention housing and economic development is the two most important things in this community. We all realize that. Okay, initially when the disaster happened, there was SBA disaster assistance. Unfortunately, other than FEMA, SBA disaster assistance came in the form of loans. And SBA disaster loans are almost a disaster in themselves. They're very, very complicated. They take sometimes 9-10 months. There's also SBA guaranteed loans, which anybody can get. It's actually a bank loan that's guaranteed by the SBA. And we make them all the time. You know, another service that helps any company, any individual, and please, there aren't grants for individual businesses. I think there's a lot of misconception. But as an advisor for the Sierra Small Business Development Center, we provide free business planning assistance, technical assistance. We help you with your marketing plans. We can put you in touch with access to capital and things like that. Those are free services that can help any individual, any business, anywhere. We do this all across the country. That's one type of assistance we can help. Unfortunately, most of it is going to be directed towards loans because if there's hardly any grants for nonprofits, there certainly aren't grants for profit businesses. Fortunately.
One thing I haven't heard addressed, which is a big concern for the Valley, insurance.
Okay. Yeah. Great question on that. I don't know if Sue, if you have any information on. One thing,
We
James.
did have a meeting like 2 months ago where the insurance representatives come, so the recording of the meeting. We had 2 folks from Quincy, Flanagan and Levet and State Farm Insurance come and specifically speak about the availability, projections as to its availability in the county.
I know Nationwide is dropping people right now. Because I'm on the board for the museum over in Taylorsville, they have just dropped us. So what I'm looking into is the United policyholders are, for me, with the research, are one of the ones who are not just deeply into the insurance piece, but also politically in the fighting for the things. So I am going down not next week, the following week, and spending 3 days with United policyholders. And they're going to walk through all the steps of ways, because there are ways that if people get, first of all, there's legal of how you can or cannot be dropped. So there's legal components. So to make sure that we know what those legal rights are that you have, if they can't just drop you. The second thing is there is, like anything else, it's a game. And what I'm learning personally, again, this is so out of my wheelhouse, but as I'm moving forward, what I'm learning is you have the California Fair Plan. I'm guessing thumbs up, thumbs down, we know where that's gonna land, right? So the challenge is knowing how to keep persistently going back because, and this is the tiny little bit I learned, and then I was like, all right, I gotta go down and study this, right? That you can have an insurance company. Insurance companies have a very small percentage of the type of people they cover. We now, so they have to take a certain percentage. So if that percentage is met, then they're gonna say, no, we can't cover you. And I only, because we had someone in our community reach out to me, I had her connect with Annie personally to be able to have that conversation. And she said, and Annie lost her home in the campfire and her experience was the same. She had to keep going back. When they say no, you don't just accept that no. You keep going back and asking, because if you hit a window of that percentage, you'll get pulled in. So that's like that tiny little bit. So I am going to go down, gather as much information as I can. I'll present out to the next meeting and I'll get contacts for people that they can individually have access to people who have the expertise. Because that's a very big one.
One thing, building off of the insurance, James with Arcadis, who is working with the county, we were trying to get him on the call. I have an email for them. So for any of the property owners that participated in the state-sponsored debris removal program that signed a right of entry, any questions related for these folks regarding their insurance claim, they can reach out to him. So if there's anyone that did the, again, property owners that participated in state-sponsored debris removal program and signed a right of entry, if they have any questions, I have an email for somebody that's working at the county level around insurance. Again, thousands of things, guys.
One other is we're building up the food availability of food. And hopefully we are encouraging tourism to come back into the area. What about housing? There's no hotels. I think maybe there's 2 Airbnbs left. I mean.
So yeah, housing is massive. It's our linchpin in this whole recovery. That requires individuals that are committed to the community to build their own housing stock back so that they can come out of rental units and open up more additional rental units. It includes our efforts at Copper Creek Camp to build workforce housing that are going to come here for the summer and build additional housing. It also looks to our community members as like small scale developers. If you own land and have the capacity to fund a development project, I'm happy to chat to you about how that could look. The challenge is most of the financing for that and the economics just don't make sense for development as a straight investment. But there are some ways that you can kind of figure out those. So the short answer is there's not a silver bullet. It's going to take everyone in the community trying to work together towards it. And housing, on the third end, the downtown district, anyone that owns commercial property or is interested in that, that is a great spot because it's zoned as mixed use and can do residential on the top of it.
I'm doing an Airbnb.
There it is.
So,
Okay.
and I know a lot of them were burned
Yep.
that were here, but they're set up to accommodate tourism.
Yep.
So.
Well, that's the challenge is
Yeah.
the economics don't make, for a lot of landowners, this is where community interest versus self-interest. Like, I understand the desire to do an Airbnb, but at the core, we need community rental units because a lot of our majority of stock in Greenville actually held a ton of the rental units for the whole county's workforce. I don't know if Greenville realized how many people were working in Chester and Quincy, and when Greenville burned, businesses are hurting in Chester and Quincy and here. I want to be crystal clear about that. Other businesses across the county are hurting right now because the employees in the research that I'm doing in Chester and the Lake Almanor Basin, I've talked to one company that did not have employees in Greenville. This is through the Almanor Foundation. I'm working separately with that, and yes, it's trying to work it, trying to step it all together. Yes. So long story short on that, yes, housing is important, and we need community members that are going to do long-term rentals as well as some Airbnbs as well. So that's short answer. One thing I do want to respond to one thing you said that like I sat down and did not say. This is not my project. I want to be crystal clear about this. This is not my project. You said this is my project at the end of it.
Tended to be your project. I
This is the
understand you to
community's
be a
project.
co-chair.
No, I am not a co-chair.
Aren't you part of the Dixie Collaborative?
I'm working as the rebuild chair of it in a volunteer and also partly a paid position, but I'm doing it for this community. This
I
is not my
didn't- I
project.
wasn't casting aspersions when I
Okay.
said that. If you are worried about that.
Well, what I want to be clear about with that is there's a perception that it's my job to do this or go like figure this out of the capacity. What I want to go back to what Sue said too is everyone has to have skin in the game. That's the deal, is right. I only have a certain amount of capacity just in hours of the day, but I also put my life a lot of ways on hold to work on this. I was in San Francisco.
So
working
the
in-
report that you prepared was not prepared under the Dixie Collaborative?
It was, yes.
Well, it would be easy for me to perceive
Okay.
that you were part of the Dixie Collaborative.
I am.
If you presented the report, so, and it was in all humility that I made that assumption that.
Yeah.
Sure, but you
I
brought
would,
it up, not me.
the one thing I would just like to say is like, this isn't my project, this is the community's project, and I'm here to facilitate with the skill sets I have. And the content. Thank you.
Was one more question over Zoom? And it was asking- Well, grant programs to remove trees, and I am looking around the room to see if there's anything here from that program that you listen. Don't see.
We can do that. Do they have a specific question that if you, oh, so, and actually, we didn't have time because we didn't get to print everything because of the other project we're doing. This, or you can, we'll have them at our next meeting, but Michael Hall presented to the Dixie Fire Collaborative with maps. I believe it was 247 private properties. They're going to start in the next couple of weeks of, planting. They have requests for 7,000 acres and they currently have capacity for 3,000. So they're going to start that work. They encourage folks who are still interested in that program to contact them. And he will be here at the next community meeting in March, but to contact him because the more people who have that need or want that, the more they're going to be able to go after funding for it. So currently they have funding for 3,000 acres. They have requests up to 7,000 and they're going to start the work in the next 2 to 3 weeks.
This concludes our meeting. We have chili, homemade chili made by Maria and Ted Stout. Oh, and KD has ice cream in the back. All right, and then please, eat and then stick around and we have all this interesting stuff to learn about.
Yeah, so at 2 o'clock, we'll do an introduction of what's happening, but I'd encourage you to read the boards ahead of time and start to talk to the students that are going to be over here. Thank you all for coming.
It's unfortunate. Okay.
How are you?
Oh, God. Yes, they come out. Oh, just fine. Just fine. Yeah, no, they. Anyway, they did. Same thing. They weren't supposed to be there. August, they cleaned the fish in the line. Fire. Got evacuated. But I have. And so I'm just. I haven't been. And he's like.
It's a challenge. I understand that challenge. All right. Somebody actually.
Well, I'm painting my house out. For take the insurance on the fire. Okay. International list.
Problem with you.
And keep it. And in your back. If they need to.
New York.
Yeah, just, you know, coffee. Let's see. So Veronica. Veronica, this is frozen. I don't have this thing down.
I'll jump on it. I know.
I'm just
Right now, it's okay. It's still.
Talking about the computer.
Yeah. Uh, Hello, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Oh, it's wow. Right in my eyes. How about now?
This is not.
All right, everyone, we're gonna get started here soon. So if you could, everyone take a seat, please. Again, sign in the back, grab a packet of materials and take a seat. Thank you.
The slides are not advancing.
So you need to move the cursor up to the top. So slide the cursor all the way up. Hold on. There. So if you this one. This one. There we go. All right, we're gonna give this a try. Welcome everyone. Thank you for sticking around. For some reason, we're getting food feedback on the computer. So we'll try that today. It's Murphy's Law Day, basically it. So thank you all for sticking. This is an incredible moment kind of in the recovery process itself. The reason being is for the last, since the fire, the Dixie Fire Collaborative, myself, a team of consultants have been having community meetings and hearing from the community of what are the priorities of the project. What do we need to have happen? Is this really bad? It's really bad.
For them, it is. Your microphone needs to be up on this guy.
Oh,
You turn up the microphone.
It's not my computer.
All right, so we're gonna go here.
Mute it.
Well, there's no sound and there was a picture and it went away. Then there was sound on my phone and that went away. I texted him and said, I hear you on my phone, but not on my TV when I'm mirroring, and
So in short,
Can you guys hear me? Okay. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Can you guys hear me? Can anybody hear me? Anybody hear me? Yeah. Hello? Joy and Hugh, can you hear me?
We can hear you now. Can you hear me?
Sorry, there's a lot of noise, so can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, now I can. Yes. So I'm gonna walk you around to each of the different posters that were created by the county for the long-term recovery plan. And they have a series of stickers. So they have the blue stickers for projects that you like, the star sticker for a project that you really like, and then the sticker for projects that you're not in favor of at all. So I will just start doing that. Can you guys hear everything okay? Or do you want me to type anything on the computer?
I would like to see the various projects.
Okay. One second. Great. Okay, so the projects are divided up into different areas concerning complexity.
Okay, your audio is really garbled on this end. It's difficult to hear what you're saying.
Okay, can you hear me better? I'll try
Yes.
and slower. So here are the some of these potential housing and commercial urban projects. I'm going to read through them for you because there's a lot of glare. So there's a Greenville downtown design building, volunteer organization family day, housing market study and affordable housing needs assessment, county-wide residential codes and standards, step and review process to see if any changes are needed. And then planning and zoning, updating development goals and rehousing. Every like planning agency would adopt a comprehensive long-term general plan and then zoning ordinances to ensure all planning and zoning policies and activities. And then Greenville commercial and mixed-use development. Are there any of those that you want more information on? Or interested in voting for?
I'm sorry, Anna, the audio and video are such poor quality. I can't understand you, and it's difficult to see the displays.
I'll try and type them out real quick. They're also going to be online as well. In the next few days. So
The audio is just very garbled. I can't understand you. I can't hear anything now.
yeah, sorry. I'm gonna try and type them out. So that you can see what each of them does a little better. They'll also be online.
You're certainly resourceful. I must say that.
Uh-huh.